Hi, it's Hugh Foster here with another Basslines original tutorial video. Don't forget you can get the transcription and backing track for this one. The transcription's in tab and standard notation for this lesson and all other Basslines on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/Hugh Foster. Thanks to everyone who's signed up for my Patreon so far. With your support, I can make more videos more often. And I've got to say there's more exciting stuff on the way. So, you know, if you want to be in the loop, obviously the least you could do is hit like on this video, subscribe, you know, all the standard stuff YouTubers ask you to do. With that out of the way, here's the context behind this one. What else is there to say? We all need to take it back to a funk groove every now and then. This is in the key of E, without doubt the most commonly used... Sorry, my cat is yelling. Okay, let's pause it there.
A few moments later.
So, most of these videos do have a direct influence, you know, they're influenced by a particular player, they're in a particular style. This one sits somewhere in between Jaco Pistorius and Joe Dart. You know, the groove part, maybe you could say, is more Joe Dart. The triplet part, that fill at the end, yeah, you could say that's sort of pure Jaco, but, you know, it's just a bit like both players and, yeah, vaguely influenced by them. Also as well, I mean, I'm using a jazz bass and I am soloing the bridge pickup and playing over that as well. You know, that's quite a stylistic choice of both players. You could even, you know, throw on a bit of chorus to get it a bit more Jaco-y. But yeah, completely up to you. Part 2, this is what I like to call the groove. This is the main body of the bass line. And before we get into any of the melodic, harmonic stuff, before you actually touch your bass, let's just talk about the rhythm, because that's really important here, I think. The groove is a 16th note shuffle, also known as swung 16ths. And if you're not sure what that is, here's a quick explainer. So, 16th notes, as in there's 16 of them in a bar of 4/4, they're normally evenly spaced. So there's, you know, it's just the same, they're all exactly the same length as each other. So that would normally sound like this. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... However, in this groove, the 16th notes are slightly wonkier, you could say. Like so. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... The theory behind this is triplet subdivisions, okay? If you split each beat of the bar into two groups of triplets, well, first of all, let's just start with the beat. This is the pulse. This is each quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you split each of those into two groups of technically 16th note triplets, but yeah, fast triplets. This is the beat, these are the triplets. Triplet, 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 triplet. All you need to do to make that a shuffle is actually simplify it. The first two in each group of triplets, so triplet, triplet, tripper, those two become joined together. So you end up with that lopsided rhythm. So we've covered rhythm. Let's just have a little look at the harmony. So it's a simple progression. We just alternate between two chords, E minor 7 in one bar, and then in the next bar, E minor 6. And using those two chords together, it's used in a lot of funk tunes. But that E minor 6 chord in particular is what allows us to go modal in this instance, and use the Dorian mode to be precise. And if you've come to this video and you're a bit like, what are modes? I'll give you a brief explainer. Hopefully it'll clear things up for you. Okay, first of all, we're going to start with the major scale, because the way that modes work is that there's 7 notes in the major scale, and you can take any of those notes and make it your tonal center. It'll become clear in just a second, hopefully. I'm going to start with D major. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then back to 1 again. And each of those points in the scale, so here's the first position in the scale. Second position in the scale is E. And you can take E from the key of D major and make that your tonal center, so where the home chord is, and take all the notes from D major but start on E, and then you've got E Dorian. So here's how that sounds. Okay, so all of a sudden it's got a slightly different flavor. I like to think of 2 main approaches to E Dorian. Either you can think of it as D major, but just shifted up to the 2nd degree of the scale. Well, actually, you can play that like this to make it a little more convenient for your hands. Or you can think of it as an E natural minor scale, which sounds like this. But the 6th degree, as in, well, C in this one, that's 6. Just take that up a semitone, so it's a natural 6, not a flat 6, as it normally would be in the E natural minor scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1. And yeah, either approach is fine. Whatever helps you understand it in your head is all good. So how does the Dorian mode relate to this bass line? Well, it only really creeps in every so often. This bass line mostly employs our old friend, the E minor pentatonic scale, spread across 3 octaves for the main body of the bass line. Here's just a quick demonstration of that scale, just to recap. So we've got E, G, A, B, D, and then repeat those notes up another octave. E, G, A, B, D, and then finally E. So we've got 3 octaves. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so how about I just play that slowed down, and I'll just point out the C sharp from the E Dorian every time it shows up. Everything else is pentatonic, nice and straightforward. So 3, 4. Here it comes. Let's do that again. 3, 4. Up the octave. Okay, so let's just quickly dive into each part of the bass line. Starts with a big open E, and then we've just got 3 notes essentially. B, D, E up the octave, and then jump down. Okay, that's one phrase, and then we extrapolate that phrase, just take it up an octave. The same notes, B, D, E, and then jump down, and then back to our original position. And here's that slightly trickier bit, using a note from outside of the pentatonic, the C sharp from the Dorian. So what goes on there? We do B, D, E, and then open A, C sharp, back to the open A, and then G up here, and then jump down. It's not too complicated apart from that bit there. The key thing is really just lock in with that swung 16th feel, and you should be good to go. We're on to part 3. This is what I like to call the Flair. There's always at least one fill in each of my bass lines. This one's got a main fill and another optional one you can throw in every now and then. But yeah, the main fill comes at the end of an 8-bar sequence, and it uses triplets like exclusively, okay? And that's another thing that's linked to that Swan 16th fill, you know, triplet, 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 triplet. And yeah, you're just going to use all of those. You're going to eat them up. From a scale point of view, it uses almost entirely the minor pentatonic again, apart from the very last note. Here it is towards the end of the sequence. 3, 4. And again, even slower. 3, 4. Okay, let's break it down. So it does start with like a slide from around here on the neck, and then on beat 1 of the final bar of the sequence, we're landing here. Okay, and that slide does make things a little bit more complicated. You've got to make sure that the fingers in your right hand are doing what you want them to do, so take some time over that. Maybe don't have that slide in there if that's making it a little bit trickier for you. Like I said about this fill, it's using the E minor pentatonic scale. I'm just going to start the scale from here and just show you like the position I'm thinking of for this scale. So we've got E here, G, and then shift, A, B, D, E, and then G and A, and that's the highest point of this fill. And I went from low to high, but obviously we come down from this point. I'm thinking of this fill in 3 distinct parts really. There's the first part, which is 3 notes, and like I said, these are all triplets. So we're going from the A to the G down to the E. And those 3 notes repeat before you move on to the next part of the phrase. Okay, and this bit, I'd say this is the most sort of like complicated bit, but honestly, it's not too bad. So we just played that, and then we're down to the next note in the pentatonic scale, D, and then we go to B, and then we go to E above the D, and then we go back to D again, and then we go D, B, A. So we continue down the scale. So let's just put those 2 parts of the phrase together. So A, G, E, repeat that. And then D, B, E, D, B, A. Okay, and then the final part, this is the long, I'd say quite impressive sounding bit, but in terms of the theory behind it, it's relatively straightforward. It's groups of 3 descending, and each time you go down 3, you come back up again, but you go from the next point down in the scale. Right, so the first 3, which is D, B, A, and then we go to back up, but only back up 1 to B. And then we go back up again to A. And that's it. D, B, A, B, A, G, A, G, E. And then, very last note, C sharp. The one note that's not from the minor pentatonic, it's the note that's from the E Dorian. Let's just do that again, starting from the A here. And that pretty much covers it. You know, the tricky thing is making sure there's a little bit of daylight between each note as well. Once you've got the notes under your fingers and you can play it at full speed, you don't want it to be legato, as in smooth. You just want that little bit of daylight. And it's not like staccato, super short. It's like... So you just got to come off each note slightly once you've played it. And that's the real key to, I think, sounding like Jaco, Joe Dart, those kinds of players. It really helps it sit in the groove and just sounds super cool, I think. Okay, so that's the main fill. There's also another optional fill you can throw in bar 4. Let's just hear that one slow down. This one uses a few more notes from the Dorian mode, namely F sharp, and then up to G, and then back down to F sharp, E, D, and then ends on C sharp. And I like to do a little bit of vibrato, as in, you know, like quickly bending and releasing, which is fairly achievable on most basses in this part of the neck. But yeah, the rhythm is tricky to do there. So let's just focus on the rhythm. 1, 2, so it's 1, 2, yeah. You've got to hit that 16th just before beat 3. Is it beat 3? Let me just check. 3? Yeah. It is the 16th just before beat 3. I'm just looking at my transcription. The tricky thing really there is the triplet. Just getting down from G, F sharp to E. Making sure that's nice and clean in the way you phrase it. That just about covers it from me. Have fun with this one. Let me know how you get on in the comments. Don't forget you can get the transcription and the backing track from my Patreon. That's patreon.com/Hugh Foster. All right, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.